Hey everyone, it's Jim, it's Amadeus, and we're coming to you today courtesy of our friends at YouTube who love us so much that they put our video back up. So, anyway, uh, Amadeus, we missed you yesterday, buddy, but you're here today and you got something to talk about, and it has to do with what's not necessarily on the ice, but what might have been off the ice, one of the more entertaining parts of the Stanley Cup so far.
Yeah, definitely. Very entertaining. Was watching the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers a few nights ago, and in the stands was none other than Charles Barkley. Just watching as a casual fan. I believe he was cheering for the Oilers because he was talking about how he has all these Oilers jerseys. He mentioned the fact that he had a Ron Hextall jersey about like three or four times. And then he ended it off by dropping a nice F-bomb live on air while talking to the reporter in the stands. So it was a very entertaining to watch. I mean, everybody in my household who was watching got a good laugh out of that. We all love Chuck, so it was funny to see that. And the little slip up that they weren't able to get with the time delay. It's rare, but it came through, and he knew right away because he stopped himself mid F bomb because I think he was. I don't know if it was drunk, but he was on something in that game. He was not all there, but love to see it, honestly.
Limit, taking advantage of some adult beverages. So okay, well I'm not I don't think anybody's surprised, but again, Chuck's just out there trying to make entertaining television. So there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of basketball and entertaining television, uh, we lost a an icon, the man they called the logo, and that of course is Jerry West. He was the logo for the NBA for many years. That iconic jump shot of his was the caricature that the NBA used on the logo. Jerry was a successful head basketball coach with the Lakers. He also was actually probably more of a success off the court from a standpoint of his building teams. He built the Laker teams that became, the dynasties there. He went on to Portland and to Memphis and to a number of different organizations where, as general manager, he put together rosters that took teams from losing to winning. So Jerry had a tremendous career as a basketball player, and tremendous career as a front office personality. So um, it's at 86 years old, he had a good life and was as I said before, an outstanding player and representative of basketball worldwide. So we'll miss number 44 in Lakers purple and gold.
Yeah, definitely a sad sight to see. He had a very big impact and a lasting impact on the game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, from Chuck and Jerry, we head to the pitch. And first off, you've got some breaking news on possible scandal in the before we even get to the Euros.
Yeah, so obviously, we got the Euro Cup starting this Friday, and then Copa
Mhm.
America is going to be kicking off next Friday afterwards. But as some of you may know, some of you may not know, this past week, and going back to last week as well, we've had the African World Cup qualifiers for 2026 and the Asian World Cup qualifiers for 2026 as well. And had a little situation yesterday, and FIFA, they're under a lot of fire. There's a lot of fan backlash because it's very blatant on video that Qatar beat India 2-1 in a match that kicked India out of the World Cup qualifying. And frankly, they shouldn't have won that game. Qatar's second goal was scored on a ball that had clearly gone out of bounds. It's on video. It's not even close. It's out of bounds, the ball. And Qatar brought it back in and put it in the net, and the referees allowed the goal. There's no VAR really to review in the Asian World Cup qualifiers, which is, beyond me. I don't understand what FIFA is doing. I know Gianni Infantino that day was at the grand opening of South Sudan's new stadium down in Africa. So he was watching South Sudan and Sudan. But in another part of the world, India is getting robbed out of the World Cup. And what pisses a lot of people off is, it's a very blatant mistake that the ball was out. The goal should have never been allowed. But the big thing is Qatar had already clinched themselves a spot in the third round qualifying, whereas India needed to win that match. Qatar could have lost and they'd still be alive in the qualifying. India is now done over what a lot of people are calling a match that should be investigated.
That's amazing. It's totally amazing. I spoke with some buddies of mine today from front office sports, and we were talking about cricket and how so many people have taken to it here in the United States, and we were talking about the problem is where to find the under 20s, which basically it's on Willow, which is a network no one has heard of and knows about in the United States. And it's something that we're all sitting around going, well, if cricket's ever going to get anywhere, perhaps they might wish to go to a network where people can actually see you. So we'll have to see how that works out. But all kinds of interesting things going on. So we move on to the Euros, where it's supposedly a wide open field this time. Your thoughts, my friend? You're the expert on this one.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair statement that it's a wide open field. I know the odds will tell you otherwise, obviously, but I think you can make a case for a lot of these teams. Like, obviously, England is the favorite at plus 350 and France at plus 400. England, if you look at the squad, absolutely. If you compare England's squad to the rest of these teams, they have a ton of talent, a lot of depth. It's by far one of the best squads in this entire tournament. The problem with England is they've never won a Euro Cup. And their coach, like I said, they were talking about sacking Gareth Southgate after the last World Cup. And obviously they made that deep run, but they still lost to France in the semis. They lost in the final to Italy in the last Euro Cup. And at some point, you got to ask yourself, is this the guy that's going to lead us to victory? Because I think personally, he makes a lot of poor tactical decisions. Like, obviously, I've mentioned, it's very controversial. He left Marcus Rashford off the team, which is something, you can look at, well, he didn't have a good season. But this is still one of your young stars that, look at some of there's a lot of players that, they're completely different players when they play for their nation versus their team. And we've talked about this before where, some guys, they don't get the playing time or the chemistry is not right on the team. So, look, I just think, could England win? Absolutely. They're the favorite. They have one of the best squads in the tournament. I don't think it's their year. Again, the manager, I'm not impressed with Southgate as a manager for this team. And I think England, at some point, they're going to run into a team that's going to kick them out. And, the same goes for France, right? France, another big favorite at plus 400 here. You look at their squad. They have a very good squad. They have the results to prove it. They've won this tournament fairly recently, as well as the World Cup. And they've made a lot of deep runs. They went to the final in the last World Cup. So they've been a team that has success in these continental tournaments and these international tournaments. So France is definitely a team, again, they could win the tournament, but for the value at plus 400, again, I think there are teams that France is going to run into that's going to give them trouble. And again, France, yeah, they were beat by Argentina in the World Cup. That's not going to be a problem here. But there's a lot of good teams in the field. Obviously, Portugal is a plus 650 now. They were plus 800, but they've looked so good in their friendlies. That line has gone up. Spain at plus 800, I think, is a threat as well. They're a very dangerous team. Spain is a team that, 4 years ago, people were talking about them winning the Euro Cup.
Mm-hmm.
People were talking about them being a possible threat at the World Cup 2 years ago. Now they've burned a lot of people, and people don't like this Spanish team anymore. But I think it's the reverse. I think Spain had a very young team. They were still developing over the last 4 years. Now, they have they've improved a lot with their team. They have a very good squad. And personally, like I said, they're going to have that experience of getting kicked out of the World Cup last year, or sorry, in 2 years ago in a very tight match. They're going to draw from these experiences that hurt, and that's going to help them going forward, I think, in this tournament. I think Spain and Portugal are two teams I really like, but I think Spain is going to surprise a lot of people this year. They're more developed, and the proof is in the results. Last year they went to the UEFA Nations League final, and they won the UEFA Nations League. They beat Croatia in penalties after a 0-0 draw, and there was good teams in that. The semifinal was Italy, Croatia, Netherlands, and Spain. So definitely, Spain's a threat. They have that experience of losing. They know the hurt, but now they also have some experience from the Nations League win that's going to help them go forward. So, watch out for Spain. I know a lot of people are talking about Portugal, but watch out for Spain. I still like Portugal, but I think the Euro Cup's going to go to a team from the Iberian Peninsula this year.
There you go. There's a team that has got kind of a sexy vibe to them, and that, along with your the team that you mentioned, Spain, um, for some reason, is the Netherlands. Your thoughts on Holland?
Yeah, so the Netherlands is a very good team. I
As a
always
dark
think they're
horse.
a threat. Yeah, like I said, they're plus 1,800. I don't think the Netherlands is going to win. I think they're going to come second in their group. Like they're going to go to the knockout stage. They could make a run once they get there. They're a very good team tactically. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and they have a very good defensive setup. So the Netherlands is a team that could do damage. Again, though, I think there's better teams than them, and the proof is in the pudding. Like they're not even going to win their group because they're in a group with France. And again, you can look at it like, well, they only got to play France once, and you never know what could happen with 3 matches. But they were also in the same group for these Euro Cup qualifiers over the last year as France, and they got slapped both home and away by France in both matches. They don't match up. And as good as I think the Netherlands are, I think they can get past the round of 16 at least, I would think, depending on their matchup. It's going to be tough because they'll probably be taking on a group winner, finishing in second. Again, like I think there's better teams. France showed in the qualifiers alone that Netherlands doesn't really have the talent there to compete with some of the best in the world. And I think there's going to be other teams that can give this team trouble as well.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch, and yeah, every year there's somebody that comes out of this, the winner and the loser. You had mentioned Gareth Southgate, the manager of England. I'm pretty sure, and I don't think I'm going way out on any particular limb here by saying if Gareth doesn't win, he likely is not going to be part of the of the movement of English soccer going forward. I think they're going to sack him.
Yeah, we'll see, because they said the same thing going in the last World Cup, and then he made that, deep run to the semis, and even though they didn't get past France, let's keep him around because, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. That's what we want. Just go ask Croatia about that. I'm sure they'll tell you they love that aspect. But yeah, I got to totally agree with you. Like this has got to be his last hurrah. If you're keeping him around, if England doesn't win the Euro Cup and you're keeping him around after this, I don't know what they're doing over there, because already there's been a bit of controversy just on squad selection alone, because England has so many talented players and a lot of, young blooming stars now, like Jude Bellingham, Marcus Rashford, some of these other guys, right? So, yeah, there's going to be, there's always going to be people poking holes in what he does. So unless he wins the Euro Cup with that team, he has to go. I don't even see why he's still around for this one, but this has got to be the last hurrah. I totally agree with you.
And, we have to find out who would be, the potential. I've seen names floated around for, potential coaches there. One of them, it's kind of surprise to me, was Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, Wayne Rooney's an interesting one, just because I still view him as a younger manager, if you want to call him that, compared to some of the other managers we see.
Well, he doesn't have the history, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. But look, he's proven himself as a manager. I think he definitely, he brought Derby County a few years ago. He did wonders with them. Then he came over to DC for the end of the season, and he turned that DC franchise somewhat around. And now look at them this year. They're still not great, but they have Christian Benteke now. They have somewhat of an attack, and as long as they fix their defense, DC has a bright future. So Wayne Rooney, maybe he's the answer for England if they got to sack Southgate after this. I don't know, but he definitely he has the experience playing in these kinds of competitions. So maybe that's what they need, right? A younger voice there to resonate with the younger talent. That is really what's happening with this squad. Is it's all the young talent that's starting to burst out.
It's absolutely. It's certainly possible, and I think that sometimes a former player who probably, I would think a number of the guys from England probably had Wayne Rooney's, either poster or jersey or something like that, in their closet, or or wore it during some point in their career. So there's sometimes there's that kind of factor too, right? Where we just talked about the passing of Jerry West. The fact that Jerry West would be on the bench as a coach or a general manager garners respect from former players. From players, because they know what kind of player Jerry West was. Well, they know what kind of player Wayne Rooney was, and so sometimes if you are that kind of guy who's an iconic member of of British soccer royalty, there's something there that players enjoy being around, let alone playing.
Yeah, it would be like if Messi, 10 years from now wanted to go coach Argentina.
Right. Exactly.
Similar thing. Now, I don't think Messi has the chops to coach. Sorry. But look, he's a great player, but he gives me the vibe like he's one of those guys that great on the pitch as a player, can't coach from the sidelines. I get that feeling about him.
Well, again, there are guys who are fantastic players, and there's guys who are, reasonably decent players or mediocre players who turn out to be spectacular managers. We can go into, let's use a quick analogy in baseball, and that would be Brett Boone. Okay, Brett was a utility man for most of his career. He played some, but it wasn't like he was a superstar. But when it comes to managing, he was an absolute, he's been solid in that regard. Dave Roberts of the Dodgers. So, you can go down. Steve Kerr. Steve, of course, won championships with the Bulls, and now he's, from a coaching standpoint, He's won championships from from the situation with Golden State. So it can be done. It's just to see how
Oh, it,
things
it can
move.
definitely be done, but usually when it happens, it's a player that wasn't as good. It finds their
Yeah,
niche
no,
in the coaching area, whereas usually these crazy superstars. Now Wayne Rooney happened to be the exception for sure, but
right.
yeah, I think like even look at David Beckham. He skipped the coaching and it was like I'll just go buy a
Mm-hmm.
team. I don't have the
I'll be an
time for
owner.
this.
Yeah.
And I think Messi's the same kind of thing. He also just announced today that Inter Miami is going to be his final club. So he just seems like that kind of guy to me. And again, it's no shade towards Messi. He just gives me the vibe
Right.
that he wouldn't be as good as a coach. And frankly, with the money he has, he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to waste his time coaching a team, because if he's going to do something like that, he would probably take the Beckham route where, let me buy an MLS expansion team or whatever and do that, right? My kid can play for the
Right.
academy and come up through the ranks type thing.
Hmm. No, and you're right, because Joe Torre won numerous championships, and he was again a reasonable ball player, but nothing spectacular. And then there's guys like Jim Leland who didn't play baseball at all, who was successful at at coaching. So it just depends on on how things fall. But uh, I wouldn't be surprised if if a Rooney or someone like him got the England job, because you got to also sell tickets, and that is something that Rooney could probably do. But Southgate is the manager for excuse me, is the manager for now, and we'll see how that plays out for him.
Yeah, definitely is going to see how it goes down. I will say I think England is. I think they're probably going to win their group. It shouldn't really be too much of a trouble.
It's funny, Amadeus. Um, all this week I've been watching Sky Sports just to check out what's going on, and they're talking about the teams are now getting in their camps, right? And when you think of these types of situations, you're wondering hotels and all that sort of thing. That is not how it works with Euro 24. These guys, these guys are staying in these magnificent villas all over, all over Germany, and practicing on fields that are like down the street. These are all smaller villages where we're basically now they've taken over these little towns all over the country. And I mean, they showed some of the villas that they are staying in. They're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, this is forget the 5-star hotels. I mean, this is these are these are uh, these are actually people's homes that they're renting out to the associations to to give them the opportunities to hang out there, and it's amazing. I mean, it's when you're guessing when you're on the level that these guys are, nothing should surprise you.
Yeah, and it's definitely good for the teams. You want the teams to be, close, tight knit like that. And it helps because if you're up in like, the villa away from the big city and the
Mhm.
distractions, right? That's what it is. Your
Yeah,
team, you don't want them to be around the noise, the hype. You don't want them reading the news articles and things like that. You don't even really want them to be around, clubs or things like that. You don't want them to be around the action, the distraction
yeah,
type thing, because this is a tournament where you're playing, every 3-4 days, basically, right? In the group stage,
yeah,
and you only get 3 matches. We've talked about this before with qualifiers. You usually get a home and a home, and you play everybody in your group twice. With this, it's all neutral site in Germany, and you just get the 3 matches. So every match matters, and you're going to see teams come out like that. Like, you can't afford to just, oh, well, if we lose match day one, we'll get them the next two. No, there's going to be no mentality like that. We need at least a point from this match.
Which is amazing. And you've got, you got Fox Sports, by the way, who's going to be home to both the UEFA Euro 2024, and also they will be involved in Copa America, covering those matches. So if you're wondering where they are, that's where they're going to be. It's on the Fox network.
And, because UEFA and CONMEBOL get it, every single every single Euro Cup and Copa America match of the group stage will be at different times. There will be no overlapping matches until we get to round 3, obviously, when they have the 2 teams in each group play at the same time. So nobody knows if somebody needed something to happen, everybody plays at the same time. So you have to take care of your own business. Don't worry about what the other teams in the groups are doing. But other than that, you're going to basically, I saw the schedule for people over in the UK. It's like you're getting a game out at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., and then the Copa America at 9 a.m., like 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. or something like that. Obviously, it's different here. The Copa America will be nighttime matches for us, and I think there's less of them because it's a much smaller field. They go straight into the quarterfinals after the group stage.
What's the deal with okay, so we know that the Euro starts on on Friday, and Copa America begins when?
Next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and again,
we got a week in between.
Yeah, and I think they go a week later because, like I said, the field is smaller for Copa America. There's not as many teams. It used to just be, the 10 South American teams. There was no qualifying or anything like that. Now they've added the 6 North American, so it's a 16-team field already. So there's no round of 16. The way the Copa America works is just top 2 teams from each group. There's 4 groups. They qualify, and they go straight into the quarterfinals afterwards, whereas the Euro Cup has a 24-team field, and they have more groups. So I believe it's 6 groups. Top 2 from each group advance to the knockouts, and then they take the 3rd place team. So it goes by, they take all the 3rd place teams, and the top 4 3rd place teams with the most points go through to fill the round of 16. And it's you have to finish 3rd. Like, if there's a 4th place team that has more points than one of the 3rd place teams that qualified, doesn't matter. You finished 4th in your group. You have to finish 3rd, and then they take the 6 3rd place teams. And is that the same how AFCON, the Africa Cup of Nations, did it earlier this year? But yeah, so they have the round of 16. They fill it with those 4, and then from there you go on.
And there you go, boys and girls. That ought to be what you need, right? It's gonna be a lot of fun. It'll be it's gonna be one of those matches that I'm sorry, one of those series of matches that you're gonna not want to miss any of them. I mean, that's the fun part about this tournament, is both tournaments, frankly. You don't know. I mean, yeah, on paper these other teams might be better, but when they start to get out there, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and like I said, the first match of the tournament is always the wonkiest match because teams haven't really got in the mindset of playing. They're not used to the competition yet. And you get some weird results in these opening matches. And that's why I say, the first match is where some of these upsets can really strike.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tournament where every result matters. Every point is going to matter, especially when, you're taking the third place teams and then measuring them up against the other third place teams and basing off, the four teams with the most points. So every point matters in this tournament, and you're going to see teams play with that mentality.
And that's all you can ask for, right? I mean, you want to see teams that really want to ball out, and that's again, that's it. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and again, right? Like if you think it's going to be boring, you're going to get 0-0 matches. Like, don't get me wrong, there's always going to be 0-0 or a boring, more defensive match. But I would say a majority are going to be higher scoring, because you're going to have those situations where it doesn't matter that the other team that is worse and they were supposed to lose and they're down 1-0. They're not just going to mail it in. They need a point from that match, they're going to look at it like, we have nothing to lose. We're already losing the points in this game, so we might as well throw everything we have at them. And maybe they get opened up and lose 4-0. Maybe they get that equalizer that they need, and that's a point that sends them to the next round. So you're going to see teams, doesn't matter who's down and how much time is left, they're going to be throwing everything they have to get some points in these matches.
Well, we will all be there to on a daily basis starting Friday to analyze Euro 2024, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That's for sure. Before we get out of here, it's time for Amadeus. We missed you yesterday, but we're not going to miss you today. Let's talk about your picks.
Yeah, make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. I'm coming off a 6-4-1 day. I had a nice 6-3-1 day on the pitch. So I got some action in Argentina later tonight at 7, 3 plays that you can go grab. Make sure you check that out. I'll also have some Euro Cup plays up for the weekend later tonight. So keep an eye out for that. Like I said, I went 5-2 in Africa qualifiers. So really starting to heat up in these international matches now, and looking to carry that into the Euro Cup. And I also have 2 MLB plays that you can go grab. I'm still on a 10-4 MLB run, so I've been killing it on the diamond. So make sure you check all that out.
There you go. I can't ask for anything more than that. All right, gang. Hope you had a nice day. We will be back tomorrow and probably take a look at a little bit of baseball as we get ready to go into the weekend. All right, everybody. Have a lovely day. For Amadeus, I'm Jim. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.